Awesome.
Okay. Welcome to Courage Conversations with Joy Millhouse. I speak with women who've made brave decisions when fear was present. Now, today I'm joined by a longtime friend, Miss Lorraine Beaumont, who is a mother. She may even by now be a grandmother, and she's a leadership transformation coach in South Africa. Um, So we'll get started with the first question. And because there's a bit of a delay between us, um, I won't interrupt. I'll let you finish after I ask a question. Okay?
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Joy.
Okay. What decision in your life felt the most risky at the time that you were making it?
Gee, there's been a few of them, but I think that a moment that really, you know, required me to be courageous was choosing to walk away from patterns, from patterns in my relationships, because I realized that I was constantly trying to earn love. I was trying to earn acceptance, particularly with men who were unavailable. And it wasn't just one relationship, it was a pattern, as I say. And I found myself overgiving, overperforming, overextending myself, just hoping that I would be chosen, hoping that if I gave more, if I showed up more, or if I tried to hold things together more, you know, I'd finally be chosen, seen, or maybe
Mm.
loved the way that I needed to. And then at some point, I had to face the truth. And the truth was that I was abandoning myself. And this story had a backdrop of my own conditioning, because growing up during apartheid, having an absent father, all contributed to my own self concept and the way I received love. And I think that, having the father that was never available caused me to choose relationships where I wouldn't be chosen. And, it's always about your looks, your performance, all these things. But yeah, it was when I realized that whatever I gave, whatever I did, was not going to make someone who was unavailable available. So then I had to start to look within myself and choose myself and love myself and walk away and just start to identify and see those patterns and those beliefs that were informing the way I was showing up, because life is really a mirror. It's an echo of what is going on inside of you. And the relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for all the other relationships in yourself. So at that point, I had to confront myself and look in the mirror and say, hey, girl, like Michael Jackson said, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. And that is the time that I decided to make that decision.
Wow. First of all, thank you for your transparency and sharing something so personal about your life and your relationships that you've experienced. Now, I know you said that this was more than one relationship that gave birth to this new beginning for yourself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I know in making these great changes, first of all, admissions to ourselves, about ourselves, uh, can be risky at the expense of losing that relationship or that friendship that was
Mm-hmm.
built on us being the way that they wanted us to be. So, what almost stopped you from making that change in your character?
Making that change, and what almost stopped me is actually very deep. It was a deep-seated fear that if I stopped trying and if I stopped performing, I might not be loved at all. So it was the risk of, um, you know, letting the possibility of getting the love that I knew how to receive, to let it go, so that I could show up for myself. And I think that a lot of women feel a very real fear in this regard. We have to carry everything, we have to earn, and it's shaped by so many things that we are exposed to in our lives because we have to be the good girl, we have to be the good daughter, we have to be the good Christian, we have to be the good mother, and all these things define us and they make us stay in relationships that are sometimes abusive because, firstly, God hates divorce. Secondly, your mother says, you've got to stay and make this work, or else you're not acceptable. And the times that we are performing, we are accepted. Like, for instance, when I was achieving at school, I felt accepted and I depended on that external validation to make me feel like I was worth something because I was the brown child with the curly hair. My siblings were fair, and that defined also whether we were
Mhm.
accepted or not. So it was,
Yeah.
I was not pretty enough. I was not good enough. So I had to earn my way to be loved and accepted.
Yes.
So that real fear of if I stop performing, if I stop overgiving, I will not be loved. I will not be accepted. And that was the fear. So
So,
yeah, walking.
so what helped you move forward then with this change in your character and as it relates to relationships, this courageous move, what helped you continue to move forward with that change?
I think, it reached a point where I was so depleted being a single mom, you know, men never showing up the way they should in the family, carrying it all because I saw my mom carrying it. So I felt that I needed to continue with this. And these are the things that keep us stuck in life, you know. But when I came across, well, I think it was a time in my life also where I was faced with a real tower moment. It was like, okay, everything is falling apart now.
Mm,
What do I do? What is the way forward for me? And it took me to confront myself, confront those beliefs, the wounds. Okay, those deep wounds. and also the possibility of being alone, but then also
Mm.
just starting to love myself. I realized that no matter how much I gave, no matter how much I showed up, I could never make someone available who was not. So I was responsible for me. And whatever I was putting out was coming back to me. So I had
Yeah.
to change the story. And that's how Recreate You was born, actually.
Mm. So you've touched on it already, but what have you learned from this experience of the evolution of Lorraine?
The evolution of Lorraine is, you know, we have to look at life from a different perspective. And when you look at things differently, the thing that you're looking at actually changes. It's because I was looking at things from my wounds, my pain, my limiting beliefs, things that I had been conditioned to think about. And when I came across coaching, I did my first course in NLP, and something flipped in my mind, and I realized, wow, the power was within me, and it was about me remembering who I was before the world told me who I needed to be in order to be loved and accepted.
Yes.
So we look at
Yeah.
things with judgment, with shame. I'm not enough. I'll never make it. I'll never amount to anything. I'm not a good enough mother. I'm not good enough. But when we start to observe these things from a place of compassion and love for ourselves and start to change that story, we find that as much as I can love you as my friend, with all your perceived flaws, because they're just perceived, you
Yes.
know, nothing is perfect, everything is divine. Even the things that we feel are bringing us into the ground. We might feel like we're in a grave, but that is the place where we are birthing into a new birth. And that is what recreating ourselves is about. It's about remembering that we are love, we are whole, and there's nothing we need to do, and there's no performance that can make us be worthy of love, because we are worthy of love because we are. And that is the thing that changed for me.
Well, I think you just answered the last question, which is what would you say to a woman facing the same decision, seeking to be what others want her to be or expect her to be in the relationship instead of being who she's called to be?
You know, the fear will always be there, and that's okay. But courage means that we make that decision to show up for ourselves in spite of the fear, in spite of the condemnation, in spite of the criticism that we get from the people around us. I mean, people will always have something to say. Oh, you're doing the wrong thing. So many times in my life, you're gonna suffer because of this. At least he does this. But why should I settle for the least? What do I actually deserve? And you deserve to be loved the way you want to be loved. And that starts with loving yourself the way you deserve to be loved. And that means walking away from things that pull you down and can't protect you and can't show up for you because you need to start showing up for yourself. So the fear, the shame,
Yes.
they're just opinions. But I
Yes.
am the author and the architect of my own destiny. And when people say to me, "Oh, you made a mistake," I say, "No, it wasn't a mistake. It was a decision." And whether you view it as a wrong decision or a right decision is your view. But I will make decisions that are good for me, even if they're bad for me. I will learn from them.
Yes.
So
And I
it's
think
not
this is the
failure. Yeah,
no. Yeah. Well, thank you. And I think this is the perfect place for us to close. I want to have you back again because I know in this
absolutely.
journey, you have some other courage stories to share. So I want to thank you today for sharing that particular courage story. It's definitely something that needs to be heard and shared. So thank you. And
Absolutely.
I just want to say to the woman watching this, that first of all, my name is Joy Millhouse, and you've just watched a courage conversation with my sister Lorraine, and I'm your courage coach. So if you have a decision that you've been circling or you even feel stuck, you don't have to navigate it alone. Book a courage call with me. The link is below, and we can walk this journey together. Lorraine, again, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Joy. I really appreciate you and I honor you for doing this work. It's so necessary. Thank you so much.
Oh, and thank you.